We're running out of time.
Are we though?
This is Blind, a brand strategy design consultancy based in Santa Monica, California. Since 1995, Blind has used the power of design to help diverse clients reach their customers and stand out in the marketplace. In this series, you'll get a rare glimpse behind closed doors and see the process of rebranding a company from start to finish. This is Building a Brand. On our previous 2 episodes, we looked at the journey of designing a new logo for Hamilton Family Brewery. Josh Hamilton, one of the brewery's owners, had designed the previous logo from scratch, but was in agreement with Blind that something simpler and easier to execute across a wide range of uses was needed. While Josh and Kristen both seemed pleased with some of the logos that the design team at Blind had come up with, eventually Josh pushed back, wanting to reintroduce more symbolism and meaning into the logo. After going back to the drawing board at the 11th hour, Ben and Matthew had a breakthrough and were able to achieve a logo that will both identify as Hamilton and also exemplify the meaning Josh is looking for. Now, Ben and Matthew move on to their next challenge, creating the Hamilton Family Brewery website. This will be the digital destination to learn more about the brewery and hear the Hamilton story. Before they can build it, they will first present Josh and Kristen a sitemap, an outline and game plan for the new site.
Let's dig deeper into the process of building a website. First, every website starts in discovery. We really want to understand the users and their goals and what they want the website to do. Once we have a good list of those goals and jobs, we move right into the sitemap. The sitemap is basically a 30,000-foot view of the website and the navigation as a whole. Then, once that's done and approved, we move into wireframing. Wireframing is where we zoom into single pages and we take a look at the content on that page and try and figure out the flow that is going to best help the user accomplish those goals with as few steps as possible. Then we move into visual design. And visual design, this is all about how the site looks. It's aesthetics, buttons, colors, type, the way that things are spaced out on the page. We need to figure out how that website is supposed to look. The last phase is development. And this is where we create the website using code so that it can live online.
So for the website, my biggest concern is making sure that when we hand the keys over to them, they know what to do with it. They can update it. It's not going to be something where they have to hire out a whole nother person just to take care of the website. I don't want to add another expense and more trouble for them.
The real issue is not that we're running out of time, because we have kind of flexible deadlines on this. It's that we're running out of resources, because the designers that have been working on this project for months, they're all moving on to different projects.
All right, so, I mean, the website's coming up. Ben, we're pushed a little bit in time because the logo took a little bit longer than we expected. But I mean, here we are now with the website, and refresh my memory, because it's been a couple of weeks since we've had the discovery session, and I know you've been a little bit closer to this material than I have.
Yeah, so basically what I've done is kind of gone back through the information that we went over with Josh and Kristen. When it comes to Jessica, the soccer mom profile, her needs, her goals are pretty basic. She wants to know when the brewery's open, what are the rules of the tasting room. It's a lot of like informational, educational stuff. So we need to have really practical information in place that's easy to find for her. We have to make sure that the tone is welcoming. And I think that by pulling out some educational components and featuring them on like the single beer page and about the brewery page. Then for Kurt's our beer snob. When we took a look at his user journey, he's all about the beer. And so the beer really needs to have beauty shots. That's the one insight that I'm taking away, because we need to make sure that the beer's photographed well, that there's enough information about each beer, and I think each beer should be on its own page, both for SEO and just to put the importance on the beer that Kurt is going to need to make his decision. So we put together a sitemap, and it's pretty simple stuff. I mean, going with the main navigation, we've just got the home page, we've got a page that's exclusively about the beers that breaks down into specifics. Then we've got our story, visit us, and then a contact page. It's fairly simple. It's about maybe 10 pages in total. with the addition of single beer pages and job post pages. But
Right.
those should be added at a later date. All right, so we did start wireframing out some of these pages, though. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay. So we've got the home page here. I think we should open on a video header. I think
Okay.
that's just going to set them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that kind of full screen. It's so much energy when you first hit the website.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. But then, we go right into a CTA. It's like, hey, book a tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we want you to do one thing on this page, and that's come visit us.
Right.
So book a tour right there. And then we start surfacing their story, how we began. We talk about the beers on tap, move into testimonials, and then another kind of secondary call to action near the footer about wholesale.
I wonder if this is something that we might need to move around when we talk to Kristen and Josh, because I almost feel like beers on tap might be very important, and we might need to surface that a little bit higher rather than book a tour with us.
Okay.
I know this is something that might be a new source of revenue for them, or something that might help encourage more foot traffic there at the brewery, but I feel like beers on tap might be more prominent, or should be more prominent. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Obviously, we've got to run it by the two of them and see how they feel, because we've got to make sure, too, that it's going to be usable for them and it's aligned with what they see for the site.
All right,
Cool.
I think we're ready.
Oh,
all right.
We're in business.
All right, so this is the basic layout of what we think the site should be. And I think that the first thing that we need to do is kind of open on a video. This can be something that kind of loops in the background, but I think that that'd be a great way to introduce Hamilton and your personalities. The next thing is we move right into booking a tour. And what I'd like to do is start getting you guys kind of like a predictable revenue stream of booking a tour through the website. And the beers page is basically one big page that has every single beer that you guys are doing and have done laid out. So we want to be able to communicate specific types like ales, lagers, stouts, porters, things like that to the people who know what they're doing and allow them to filter those things out. But we also want to cater to our Jessica and go with like taste profiles like sweet, dark and roasty, things like that, and allow her to filter with something that is a little bit more human speak than brewery speak.
Okay, so if someone just wants to see what we have on tap, do they have to go through all these stages, or would there still be a place like, oh, that beer I want is on right now?
Great question. All the on tap beers will be featured on the homepage.
Gotcha, okay.
I know currently you guys are minimal in how much involvement you have on the website, right? You said it's another task to do. Is this something that you would imagine if you guys were to grow, that this is something that you would hire somebody out in the near future, or is that pretty far out and you guys are going to do it all yourselves and it needs to be very simple for you guys to update and control?
I would like to do it for a while just to understand it, so when we do hire someone down the road, like have some grasp of what it is.
But this seems like, to do it well, I don't want to go through all of this and have a beautiful website and then just neglect it, which would be so easy to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you would or you want to, but I just think that it would be easy to with everything else that we do.
After receiving approval on the sitemap and wireframe, Matthew and Ben move on to refining the visual design of the website.
So the first couple rounds of designs are in from Emily
Yeah.
and June.
Uh-huh.
So I'd love to go over them, see what you think.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we've got homepage here. We've got kind of like that blue filter that was from the Stylescape.
Mm-hmm.
And the vision is to have the video in the background playing through the filter.
Okay. So everything's color tinted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've got wood background.
Nice.
This feature, we're pulling inspiration from this other brewery, but I think it'd be kind of cool to have the beers scroll into view versus be all on one page.
Mm-hmm.
The only bad thing is that we're hiding information, which is never good.
I see. So this is kind of like a carousel, and the hope is that the user would click through to see more.
Right, this little arrow here.
I see. That's a little hidden for me, so
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best use of it.
Right.
And plus, while it visually looks really interesting, I think if we had something that was a little bit more friendly to responsive websites, right?
Mm-hmm.
A different size. Because I don't know what this is going to look like if it's on mobile. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Well, it would probably just shrink down to 1, and then you could swipe through.
I see.
But again,
We're hiding a lot.
stuff.
Right.
So it's a cool feature that, I don't know, as we're scrolling through, I'm noticing like texture after texture after texture after texture.
Right. It's a little much.
It is a little much. We've got bare wood, then we've got like a parchment texture, and then we've got a solid color, concrete, different kind of wood,
Right.
burlap.
It's too much. I think we need to pare it down
Yeah.
and come up with specific rules where we're using this and not using this. Because I don't mind the solid colors, or even if we have solid colors just breaking up with subtle texture, but I think the amount of material textures that we see, they kind of feel a little all over the place.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense for me where they currently exist. So those are fine-tuning things that we can do.
Here's an element that I really liked. It's just a verification. Are you of legal drinking age?
Right.
A couple things that I like. They're using pretty much a single texture, right? And it's full screen. And then I love the fact that this looks like a label. And they're starting to use these lines and rules and boxes from the Stylescape. They're bringing all that in, and that gives it a sense of age, which I really like. I also really like the overprint on this with that kind of hop and leaf texture kind of overprint thing. I think that they nailed this screen. I just wish that the rest of the site looked like that.
Okay, I like this a lot better.
Yeah.
I love that bright Hamilton blue, the subtle use of texture there.
I like the overlap. So the vision is this is static. This is just a texture image background. And then this would be the video that kind of plays in the background. And then when they click play, it'll open up full screen and they can watch a brand video. I think it's a good use of the overlap because what it does is if we zoom in on 100%, it's just dying, it's begging for the user to scroll down so that they can see the rest of the video.
Right. So that's a nice little technique for anything that lives below the fold.
Yeah.
Where if you crop something out, it gives you a reason or the thought that there is more to this site. Because sometimes if you don't do it well and things are lined up perfectly, people don't have the feeling that they should scroll down any further.
Yeah, they don't know that there's anything below. As we scroll down, you can see we're starting to get a lot more of that layering effect in this one. So, number one, the first thing that I was like, ooh, that's awesome, was that stamp.
Did you write that?
Yeah. Cold,
I love
cold
that.
beers, warm welcomes.
I love that.
Like that?
It's nice because you're playing with the opposites there, but both of them, I feel like capture the brand very well. So
Yeah.
kudos to you on that.
That was killer, and Emily did a really good job kind of locking that up.
And it feels like a stamp. That's what I like. It's like the stamp of approval thing.
It makes
that was
sense, right?
Sold early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already liking this. Like
You like that?
I haven't even seen much of this, but I already like what this is looking like. Where beers on tap, that's nice. I like the subtle change in the values on that background. That's nice. And again, it feels layered, even though there's no drop shadows or anything like that. It feels layered visually. The use of contrast between light and dark here.
I think there's a little. No.
It feels
does.
like the things are like stacking in Z space. They're coming out towards us, and it's very subtly done, but so elegantly done. So that's nice. And then I love the different pops of colors here.
The color background is probably my favorite out of this whole thing. This looks really good too, and I love that that they're experimenting with different hover effects for the buttons.
I see. So if you hover on one of these beers, then it will give you more information.
Yeah. So each one of these beers is an individual card, and when the user hovers over a card, it'll flip over and show the other side, which is this.
Okay, this version feels a lot more dialed in than the previous one, where I know the previous one was more exploration of materials, but honestly I love the color blocks here. I love the way that things are layered, and it's mostly the use of values as opposed to getting a little gimmicky with just random textures in here. So I think I feel really good about this direction.
Yeah, and for me it balances that heritage and fun really well, because the bright colors bring in the fun, and then the typography that they got going on brings in the heritage. So I'm thrilled with a lot about this.
Taking Matthew and Ben's feedback, the team puts the finishing touches on the final visual design. Now it's time for development.
Typically when we build websites for clients, we use WordPress, and we'll build a custom theme, and set them up on the back end and give them training. But what happens is if you don't have somebody that knows WordPress running updates and maintaining it, you'll get the white screen of death. Everything will break. There's so many pieces stitched together that it requires knowledge.
And in the past, we've usually had to hire developers out because we don't have any developers in-house.
And so our biggest concern is how do we build this site so that they don't have to spend money on maintaining it. Somewhere in the middle of all this, I went to a conference and I saw the founder of a company called Webflow speak about his product. And Webflow is kind of a visual builder for websites, and I have been previously skeptical of these things in the past. But I was intrigued by his presentation, so I kind of brought it home and I started building my personal website. And it turned out it was pretty easy. So once the design was finalized for the Hamilton site, I decided to task out Jiyun, who was one of our design interns, with building the site in Webflow.
But the only challenge is she has no coding experience, and that's one thing I'm a little bit worried about.
Three days later, it was done.
That's crazy.
So today we're headed up to Hamilton to present their website, and I have to say I'm excited. I've been working personally on this thing for a while now, and I think they're gonna love it. There's a couple of changes that they haven't seen yet, and we haven't trained them on how to use this thing yet. So that's what's gonna go down today. We're gonna review the changes, and then we are going to cover a training manual on how to use their new site. I'm so stoked. I think they're gonna love it. First things, let's just kind of go through the changes. So initially, when you see this, the video background is probably new for you guys. I also made some changes to the navigation. It's still the same basic content. I just changed the words up here. Okay. So we've got beer, brewery, tasting room, and connect. So scrolling down on hover, you can see it kind of like.
He's been putting the spit and polish on this after hours. Like I haven't seen all of the little bits on there, so this is new to me too. That's super cool.
Yeah? All right. So he's the motion guy. Stamp of approval there. Yeah.
That's great.
If it's on tap, if it's available in cans, it'll show up on the homepage.
Oh, cool.
So right now we've only got 2, and what we'll do together in the back end is add a beer so that you guys can see it goes everywhere. You don't have to add it individually to each page.
Wow.
So moving down, we've got our book a tour, and this link goes right to the contact us page where they can fill out a little questionnaire and just kind of reach out and ask.
Okay.
And then this block is if you guys want to start collecting people's email addresses. Because Josh, I know like you want to do a shop in the future on this site.
Yeah.
Collecting email addresses is a great way to start pulling people in, and
Sure.
so you can market to them at a later date. All right, so let's get into the rest of the site. So we'll go to the beer tab. And again, all this copy is fine if you guys want to use it, but it's totally up to you. You can make any of those tweaks that you want. We want to give people what's currently available and then what's gone but not forgotten. Now, in the back end, I'll show you how to turn a beer off.
Okay.
And when it's turned off, when it's not available on tap and it's not available in cans, it'll automatically go down here.
Wow. Okay. That's fun.
That's right.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Not a lot of. I don't think anybody really does that. That's cool.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and click on one of these guys. This is the beer feature page. All of this information is dynamically drawn from the back end where you guys enter it, so you don't actually have to design any of it. The only thing that you need to do is upload a photo of a glass, which we're going to supply you guys with a mock-up set, so you can just pick the color that you want to upload, or you can do a can. What questions do you guys have?
How do you
do it?
Yeah.
There we go. That's part
How do
2.
we
All right.
maintain it?
Entering into part 2. All right,
Cool.
so you're going to need to know HTML, a little bit of PHP, and CSS, but it's not a big deal. I'm just kidding. You don't have to know any of that.
Educate
yourself for 100
hours.
I was like, all right.
All right, so first let's take a look at beers. When you click into this, you'll get your options here. So Josh, go ahead and take over.
Okay.
All right. Normally when I train people on how to use the websites, I get ready for like this 2-hour long conversation, and we're trudging through the back end of WordPress, and we're just teaching them how to use plugins and visual, but it's a mess. This time though, I was so excited just to be able to slide that laptop over to them and say, go ahead, edit it.
I hope it's as easy as we promised it would be for Josh and Kristen. I hope they love everything that's in there and that the handoff is gonna be nice and smooth.
Okay, so let's create a new beer. So Josh, I'm gonna hand it back over to you. You're gonna click the green thing there. And let's go ahead and pick something that you've got on tap. So there we go.
That's awesome.
That's it, guys. I mean, in a nutshell, it's pretty simple.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Questions?
Nope. No, I don't have anything.
Told you.
Well, I guess if Josh could do it, I could do it too. Oh, I didn't expect that at all. I didn't expect it for it to be such a smooth handoff where it's like click, click, click. Oh, that's it? I'm a believer. That's pretty rad. Honestly, this whole endeavor of building the website for them was very surprising to me. It was very revealing because my worry at the beginning of this was we're gonna build them something so extravagant, so beautiful, has all these cool features and animations, and they won't be able to update it. And then seeing this guy present it to them, it's like, here you go, update it yourself, Josh. Watch, try and update the copy there. Try and break it. He tried, he put it in, and it was saved, published, and it's done.
This was so simple, it literally took 20 minutes, and that's it. That goes to show you how different this process was from the way that we usually do things.
So luckily with all of this, we were able to stay on budget. We were able to deliver a website that was beautiful and usable for them, and they didn't have to hire out another person to get it done. So I'm pretty confident now that even in their hands, whatever they do with the website, it'll look gorgeous and it's gonna be functional for their business.
On our next episode, Ji-yoon will take the approved logo and turn towards redesigning Hamilton's packaging. Since Josh and Kristen are hoping to push into retail, packaging that can be easily identifiable while also standing out on the shelves is going to be a must. Because Josh won't be able to interact with retail customers the way he does with customers in the tasting room, Hamilton's can design will need to tell their story in his place. That's next time on Building a Brand.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to learn more about how we built the Hamilton Family Brewery website, check out the bonus video that Ben had put together in the links here and down in the description below. And if you want us to continue this series, don't forget to leave us a comment and share this with a friend because it really helps us out. We'll see you on the next one.